This is a video on a very small and specific topic, which is the felts at the bottom of the Wippens. And these, of course, sit here on the capstan, which is on the far end of the key stick. And when you press the key, the capstan pushes up and it hits this, and that fires the hammer. And the question becomes, what should you do with these? Well, they get hard over the years, but an interesting characteristic of felt is that you can needle it just like you needle the felts on the hammers. And then you can also add wool using Merino wool yarn. I'm going to get started on this one. I just poke it and it brings the felt back just like it would do on a hammer head. So it's compressed and whole. Kind of like what happens when you wash a shirt. And you might say, well, gee, you can buy those pretty cheap, can't you? Yeah, you can buy these felts pretty cheap. But if you put them in, you could have some issues. Number one is they're going to compress over time, and you're going to be going back into your regulation again and again and again. And I'm into restoring. This is an 1883 unit, and I'd like to keep as much of it as possible if I can bring it back to new condition. Okay, now this wool now has a very different feel than it did. It's soft, but we have compression here still. So what I'm going to do is, holding my thumb on it here, get this needle started. I hold on to the felt with my thumb, because if I don't, inserting this needle is just going to pull that felt right off the wood. I don't want to do that. There we go. Now I can kind of position the felt, and I'm actually pretty happy with where it's at right now. And I also am satisfied with 2 pieces. I could put in 3, so now I just have to cut it cleanly. And the last thing I do is take a little hammer and lightly move it into the shape that it would have when it was new. And that actually has a function pretty much like a new one, except it's already kind of broken in. So that's what I chose to do on this 1883 Steinway, and other things I'm going to do too, but this was just a video strictly on that. And I would say that I prefer to restore these versus replacing them. But that's just me. My goal is to have the instrument as close to what it was in 1883 as possible, and I hate to say it, but the strings from that time period sound different than the ones today, even if you buy the very best available. There is no way to really duplicate that 1883 exactly, but if you restore the parts and bring them back to new condition, you're going to get the closest you can get to the true sound of that period instrument. And of course, I'm very partial to the tone of the early instruments, whether it's an Erard or a Bechstein Blüchner or Steinway.